You remember in the initial months of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, the fake news that was going around, including that some weird people were popping up there, like Steven Seagal, even Joe Rogan, who normally doesn't get fooled. He posted this supposed screenshot of Steven Seagal being dispatched not just to Ukraine, but fighting with the soldiers. Now, there was always good reason to not trust this because it's Steven Seagal, he's 90 years old. I don't think they need or want him, but while that was fake, he apparently is there right now, actually, in Ukraine, not fighting for Russia, but he is involved in their efforts. He's a special representative of Russia's foreign ministry, tasked with US-Russian relations, focusing a little bit more on the Russian part of those relations, because I don't think anybody in America wants to talk to him. In any event, you can see here some reporting from Insider. He's there basically examining wreckage of a disputed site that was destroyed where a number of prisoners of war were killed. So here's a little bit of the video of him.
В преступлениях против человечности. Тому, кто думает, что это бомба, наверное, стоит немного подучиться. Это не осколки бомбы. Если вы посмотрите на это сооружение снаружи и изнутри, это точно похоже на ракету.
So that's a little bit of the reporting has been doing. He went there to examine the wreckage because he totally has training in doing that and will be a very effective researcher, considering that he can only look at the rubble that happens to be around where he's sitting at any given moment. The dude is a shell of a man. He's more a shell of a man than that's a shell of a building that he's fake investigating for the Russian state. Anyway, look, the site that he's at, what happened there is a massive tragedy. 50 Ukrainian prisoners of war were apparently killed. The circumstances are described as disputed because while the Ukrainians say that the Russians destroyed it, the Russians are saying that the Ukrainians destroyed it. And in particular, Steven Seagal is saying that the Ukrainians destroyed it with US provided weapons, which is not inconceivable. This is a war. And you shouldn't necessarily trust either side, but you definitely shouldn't just trust the word of Steven Seagal. And in particular, when they say the reason the Ukrainians purposefully targeted this building and killed dozens of their own people and soldiers was because one of them was a Nazi who was speaking out against Zelensky. That is not impossible. That could be true. But I think bold claims demand bold evidence. And thus far, I haven't seen that being provided by Steven Seagal, JR.
This is it's a weird thing. I was gonna say about American nature when it comes to stuff, but maybe it's worldwide. But Steven Seagal, even if you haven't seen his movies, I'm sure many people haven't. He still holds this weird characterization of him as this badass Rambo type of figure. Under Siege, I think was the movie that I did see. This was from like 1991 or something.
Yeah.
So he's a badass. Enough for people to believe that first picture that was doctored or whoever photoshopped that it could possibly be real. That he's literally leading Russian troops through whatever kind of occupation or conflict that they show him doing there because he was in movies, bro. Does anybody think that Sylvester Stallone is getting into a ring and starting to fight people that are 26 years old? Does anyone believe that? No one should believe it. But Rocky did it like 7 to 8 to 9 times, according to all the movies that were made. We believe that Steven Seagal is leading Russian forces because of movies, bruh. Because of movies. But in reality, he's doing exactly what an old, decrepit old actor would do. That's a part of the Russian propaganda is talking.
Yeah, no.
It's not glamorous as that is.
They don't generally, like that. They're actors. Like, yes, sometimes I did once get a ticket from Jean-Claude Van Damme, Time Cop. But no, it's not, they don't really do that. Maybe I think The Rock could do many of those things. I feel like he's actually in pretty good shape. He can do a lot of it. Can Vin Diesel drive a car by swinging a hook over a ravine? Yes, probably. I think he's got a lot of experience at this point. But no, Steven Seagal is not going to be taking out soldiers on his own. So anyway, this story is ridiculous. It's also a reminder that there has been from the beginning a lot of misinformation about this. Not all of the misinformation will be coming from the invaders. That said, just don't accept any of these big claims without good evidence. That's all I'm saying.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.